think this is a strong contender for dumbest name in this lineup, but let's not be too judgmental. Maybe this game is...
No, fuck this.
Oh good, so when it's done raping your ears, you get the option to buy more games. What an adorably delusional offer. This just takes you to YFT's list of games on Steam, by the way, not to an external website or anything of worth. The closest thing they have to a website is this blog. Yeah, that's their main website. They then take you to the set of WWF Warzone, where you get to look at these PS2 era cars that, as far as I'm aware, you cannot get a better look at them. So that's nice. It's nice to know that the showroom has no worth whatsoever. There are a handful of models for the cars, and each one has a few recolors. Though as far as I can tell, the cars all function the same way more or less, so what the shit does it matter? A few of these car models look acceptable, but then you get shit like this GT car that resembles a cardboard box model of said car. It's interesting that the car says owned next to it. I wonder if there was supposed to be an unlock system at some point, because as far as I can tell I didn't unlock anything as I went along. There are 4 areas to explore, and 2 of them have the wrong picture. So if you want the fairground, you pick level 4, and if you want the World Fair, you pick level 3.
Because of course they fucked something up as simple as a level select screen in a game with only 4 levels. How?
So it's very much like that Super Kids Racing game, except it's considerably more competent on several fronts. It's still terrible though. Okay, stupid transparent line walls are back, except some of them are formed into misleading paths, which is always fun. It's bad enough when you have an invisible wall, but it's even worse when the walls are implemented in a way that tricks you into driving into a dead end. Sometimes you can't even see that it's a fence until you get too close, and then you just slam into it and have to readjust yourself like some sort of student driver in a forklift. You clip through signs on the road though, because of course you do. The level designs are also pretty dreadful, as with one track I kept going in the wrong direction, and on my 2nd and 3rd lap, it really just kept tricking me again and again because it looks like you're supposed to go forward, but instead you double back on yourself. If you're gonna have ugly walls surrounding the bits where you're supposed to go, could you at least not have holes in it that look like the way forward?
Of course, at this point, you're ever vigilant and ready to not get tricked again, and that's when you trick yourself into ploughing into a wall because you're too busy trying to ignore the arrows.
Oh my god, this track's utter shit. You know, I actually have a few friends who love racing games, and I would love to subject one of them to this shit. Just so that they could tell me just how this differs from something like Need for Speed. I mean, obviously I could tell you on a surface level, but given that they know about car mechanics and controls, and various other things, they could probably compare it better. Not that I won't try, but, you know. Driving games were not ever my forte, admittedly. Car handling is still dreadful to the point that I constantly crashed into things. The handling feels like a Formula 1 game, i.e. the turns are meant to be sharp, but you make them so slowly that you can just constantly veer off and plough your vehicle into another car or a wall. And if you think that it's just me being shit, might I point out that even the AI doesn't know how to play this game. At one point I crashed my car into another car and it somehow zapped into the future, because of course that happened. The AI is pretty thick in general. I mean, it's able to make laps, but if you park it in the middle of the road, it makes no effort to avoid you, and usually settles for slamming right into you instead. This happened multiple times as well, like they have some sort of preset path. I also discovered that you basically get thrown forward when you tap forward or back. So it's not like you get accelerated as much as you get launched forward, constantly repeating the same thrust. Maybe some other car games do this. I'm not really an expert in the genre, but something tells me that they don't. I also noticed that you just end up doing slow motion donuts on the spot if you don't do anything, so that's fun. Hard Toy. I don't want to know what Hard Toy is. There's a Pizza Hut knockoff. That's interesting. Let's get a look at that. No, I'm sorry. That's not a Pizza Hut knockoff. That is Pizza Hut. There's some fucking product placement there. In all its fucking 360p glory. Don't know what that building is. It looks like some sort of temple dedicated to worshipping the planet. Oh my god, that guy just goes on this side of the road no matter what. I don't know what that board thing is, but I'm pretty sure they just copied it off some random place. Why are there just big walls in the middle of the fucking... I'm genuinely fascinated by how fucked up this is. Oh, that's the same as that. Those buildings are identical. That, I don't know what those lumpy things are. Shame I can't see them. This game's environments are pretty fucking ugly as well, given how buildings aren't proportioned properly. Like, this tent in the circus level is bigger than the shopping mall thing across the street. The sea on the fairground level seemingly is just a gradient. It's just a barely textured nightmare on the horizon. You'll also notice spots where they didn't bother to fill the floor in, so it's just a void or an abyss. And in some spots on the road, there's glitchy textures that reveal the Neversphere outside the game's boundaries. However, my absolute favourite thing about this shoddy environment are these tiny forts. I mean, look at them, they're somehow smaller than the car. Who lives in them? Fucking Smurfs. I don't know how, but this looks worse than any racer I've ever played on the PS2. And the vast majority of games on the PS1 I've played as well. Even disregarding the excuse that such games have, you know, time periods and how design has basically improved over the years, even if graphical technology hadn't, a lot of these buildings just don't belong together. The environment doesn't look remotely realistic, as it looks like the town that Rhapsody Street kids lived in. None of the buildings complement each other as far as size go. Some of the buildings look like they don't belong here, as you go from Arabic looking places, and then right next door you've got an American convenience store. And there's a shocking amount of commercial buildings and a complete lack of residential spaces. Also, I can't tell what the fuck some of these buildings are meant to be. What the fuck is Jimbo Shrimp Shack doing here? Why is all the vegetation cardboard? Why are dumpsters only half the size of cars? Why is the hedge just a big smear? It looks like a watermelon. If I'm not the only person who's played this game and paid money for it, then there is no God. Oh, there's houses. They're all the same. I'm guessing this is some sort of communist country. Or was. Oh, okay. The foliage looks like it belongs on a PS1 game, and some of it looks worse than pre-PS1 era. We have hills that are somehow inferior to Test Drive, which came out in 1992. At one point, I found a billboard that said the word spy and depicted someone being killed or something. I have no idea what the fuck this is, though I can't really get a good look at it. Is it communist propaganda or something? That really wouldn't surprise me at this rate. Maybe this is all just some sort of ISIS recruitment tool. Maybe this game is supposed to inspire hatred to the point where you'll just kill anyone to get it out your system.
If there's anything on this planet that has convinced me that Western civilization has failed, it's definitely this game.
This is the... Oh my god, look at the speedometer. It's got Ghost Rider in it. I didn't even notice. That's brilliant. I take it back. This game gets a 10 out of 10. Sometimes the cars just make clicking sounds instead of having an engine. You know, like in real life. Oh, and we can't forget that YFT's trademark is having wheels that are too big for the damn car. You don't even get to name yourself, you're just player in this game because it's 2019 and player entry is too hard of a thing to have in a game that you charge money for that looks so basic that a player entry screen would probably be where all the work went. I mean, how do you conclude this one? It's a fucking mess, and the fact that it came out last year blows my mind. You'd think these guys would have some idea what the fuck they're doing, but Apparently not. Apparently 5 years worth of work, at the very least, doesn't mean fucking shit when you're Yash Future Tech. I suppose it's a little better than the kids' racing games, as some of the cars aren't flat out broken, but it's overall a patch of that game, rather than something new. And even then it's still a pile of cold wank that needs patching in itself.
Well, I'll give it this. It's the most interesting bad game we've had so far. Take that for what it's worth.
And then finally we've got the spy billboard. You see, that adds to my theory about this being a communist country. Because there's clearly a woman who's... No, fuck you. Oh, you